Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 161. And listen, if you're ready for a little joy today, then I have somebody you have to meet. Stay tuned. Hello, all my dear friends. How are you today? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Spring has sprung. Every week that I talk to you, it springs a little bit more. And today is no exception, which also, brings me a lot of joy just looking outside. And as I'm talking about joy, I really am excited today that I'm going to introduce you to one of my clients. Her name is Sabra, and she is a woman that exudes joy, happiness, and love. And I really am excited to share her story with you because as much as she exudes that, it really wasn't as much on the inside of her as it was on the outside of her. And now when you listen to this interview that I do with her, you're going to see how she learned how to match her insides with her outsides. And it's really a phenomenal journey. And I think you're going to love this interview. So I'm going to go ahead and get off in a second so that you can hear the interview. And when it's over, I'm going to get back on and give you a few of my comments like I always do. Enjoy. Sabra, welcome to my program. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Deb. It's so good to be speaking with you again.
Yes, I have missed you. I think has it been about 3 or 4 weeks since we stopped?
Yeah, I would say close to a month now. Yeah, when we finished our last session. So this is exciting. Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. Well, let me tell you what. I'm going through Sabra withdrawal.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Well, it's mutual. I have been going through Dr. Deb withdrawal, but you know what? Here is the greatest piece of news. I have carried you with me, and so I am able to dig into the tools that you taught me and choose the one that I need at the right time. So I'm having withdrawals, but I'm also bringing you along with me for the ride. So it's been a great balance.
Beautiful. And you know what?
Yeah.
You stay in my heart, even though I'm not talking to you on the phone.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
It's true.
So sweet of you.
It's true.
I'm honored.
Okay, so let's figure out I'm trying to think what I would love for you to be able to pass on to our listeners. And one of the things that comes to my mind whenever I think of Sabra, I think of joy, love, and happiness. That's just how I think of you.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to talk about to begin with is because there are some interesting things about how we started. And
Absolutely.
One of those is that we actually had 2 mini sessions, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So what I would like you to do is we had 1 mini session and you decided not to hire me.
That's right.
So, hey, I don't think you're the first one, but I would love for you to walk through that just a little bit as to that mini session and what happened there a little bit. And then we'll fast forward to the second mini session.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So I have been listening to your podcast and the way you spoke, your message as well as the way you delivered the message spoke to me very clearly. And I thought, how am I going to get more of what Dr. Deb has to offer? And then you talked about your mini sessions, your free mini sessions. And so I did call you and it was April. And
oh, wow, a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago.
Okay.
Exactly. We talked and everything you said made sense. I was feeling the perfect balance of tough love, yet with the overlay of self-compassion and self-love. And the one thing that was keeping me from actually going ahead and setting up sessions with you is just my dog had a bunch of surgeries. I just did not have the money. And we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So
for both of us, for the dog and for me.
Dr. Deb, you're not wrong. Exactly. Right. So I'd already laid out the thousands and thousands for doggy. So it wasn't going to happen with Dr. Deb. But you know what? I couldn't stop thinking about just how the mini session for me, it was so clear to me that I was ready to do the work I needed to do, and I kept thinking about it. And I think then I called you in November or contacted you and said, I'm ready to roll.
That was like about 6 months later.
6 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because for that 6 months, the whole idea of the great podcast, the mini session that we had, the knowledge that I was ready to do the work, and not out of fear, but out of, okay, girlfriend, you have tried everything else and you are ready to kind of do this really hard work. And the way you spoke really meant a lot to me. And so we were back on track, and it took a little bit of fiddling, but we started sessions in December.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing I just want to add, just for our listeners. I think you were intending on paying one price, right?
Absolutely. I was. And you said to me when I called you back or contacted you saying, you know what, I think it's time. You said, well, guess what? My price has gone up, and it didn't even matter to me.
I know. And so this is what I want to say, because I remember specifically what you said. And I just want to repeat it because it's so funny how I remember this stuff.
Okay.
You said to me, well, I'm going to have to buy less shoes.
Yes! Oh my gosh. That sounds like me. Yep. That is so interesting that you remember. And yeah, you're right. And that is interesting that you mentioned that, because shoes and lipsticks are my go-to. Those are me. They characterize who I am. They're my sort of, that's what I do. And
that's what I did. That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. That's not what I do.
That's right. That's what I did. That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was worth it. It really was, because it's being paid back in spades.
Beautiful. So
yeah,
let's move forward a little bit. Like, we started working together, and as everybody can hear your voice, I just want everyone to know this is how she is all the time.
Yeah, I sometimes need to tone it down, but I'm not going to do that anymore. That was an old lesson. But now I'm just me 24/7.
24/7, happy, joyful, and all of that stuff, and just a lover of life.
True story.
So the thing is, though, that I think that I would like to bring out is that you still felt like inside of you, that there was still something that you were trying to connect with, this outside joy and love.
Absolutely. What I was not understanding was two things. And one was, I was trying to say the things that I read about or hear about, which is, you go girl, or you're beautiful and smart and you can do all of that. But I really wasn't feeling that. And I put myself together every morning. I believe that that's a great way to start the day. But so I was looking great externally, but I wasn't feeling that way internally at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that one thing that I was not connecting to. And the other thing that I was not connecting to, which was a very clear message that you gave me over and over again, because I was actually looking over my notes that I'd taken during every session.
Of course you are. Of course you're looking over your notes.
And what I realized you had been saying to me and I'd been taking down, and it took a while to connect to, was you cannot fix something or look at something or understand something unless you face it. And so I was not understanding that putting my hand in the bag of chips and the bag of chocolate chip cookies was keeping me from facing whatever I was facing, the anxiety, the stress, the upset, whatever it was that was going on in my life. And to actually work on something, you have to look it in the eye. And I was not understanding that. So those were two big things that there was no connection. And yet I knew I was looking for something to connect to.
So really what you're talking about is feeling your emotions.
Absolutely. Feeling my emotions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So instead of feeling your emotions, you were putting your hand in a bag of chips or chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly. Exactly. And it sounds almost like a funny thing. What does that mean? Feel your emotions. I feel joy. I feel sadness. I understand that. I know how to do that. But it's about negative emotions and learning that the go-to with negative emotions is not the bag of chips, or for me also over shopping, but it was to actually sit down and face it. And face it means let it wash over you as well, because to fight it,
which is what you were doing.
I was doing it. I was fighting it. It was becoming a tussle. And when you actually just say, you know what, I'm going to let this, I'm going to feel it, And I know I will come out the other end. That was the other part of it. One thing was to say, I'm going to let it sink into me. And the second part was, I know that there will be within, I don't know, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, a different framework for me to look at the problem that I'm dealing with or the negative emotions that I'm dealing with.
And that's probably, I would say, when you tell me that, I would say that's one of the biggest things that I saw you learn over the time that we were working, that you really figured out how to do that for yourself.
I really did. And that coupled with the work we did on the model and understanding so clearly, finally, that my thoughts have the biggest impact on how I handle things. And it's hard work. And yet when you get it, you snap right into it. And it's a reframing of the way you are looking at what you're doing. It's a complete change of perspective. And you start to do it second nature.
Are you starting to do it second nature?
So I would say not completely, but more and more.
I don't do it completely either.
Perfect. Good. So I'm in the same boat as Dr. Deb. I'm
Correct.
happy to be there. Yeah.
Correct. But you're aware.
I'm so aware
that it's always there.
Absolutely. And I kind of carry around the model, the little T, CTF with me, the little initials. And I look at them every now and then as a reminder, because it's easy sometimes to fall back into old ways because I was doing them for so long. And yet what I'm finding is this is more work, but it's also so much more. It's meaningful. It's bringing me something. It's taking me somewhere. And I sleep better. I live better. I handle people better. This is not about, in fact, I would say losing the weight has become one of the lesser things on the priority list, and learning how to take care of myself is at the top, because I know the weight's going to go. I have zero doubt about that. That's the last thing on my mind. And that was the first thing on my mind when I started working with you.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because what you're saying is so powerful. But one of the things that you brought to the table in your love and joy and happiness mode was how much you loved certain foods. Love. And so we would get on the phone and we would look at your food journals, and then we would see, I would see something on there and you go, I love those so much. Could you say something about that for us, please?
I will, because, and thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Deb.
Anytime.
For free, I'll do that. Because you know what? That was something which I initially felt like you were mocking me. And then I can actually laugh at it now the way I just did, because you reminded me very clearly, and you have this no nonsense, tough love sort of perspective with, again, a lot of the self-compassion is important. So here's what I would say. I would say it was an excuse for me to eat. And I know why I was saying it, because I just love this. It was such delicious food. And that was the green light for me to go ahead and have seconds or thirds, or to indulge, or to eat way beyond, a +2, to eat outside of the twos. And so what you reminded me, you said, wait. Do you love chocolate the way you love your husband? And it was just so clear. Again, you're a master at having people re-examine their perspective and their angle. And I realized that I enjoyed it. Maybe I loved preparing food for my family. I loved buying beautiful groceries, but I didn't love chocolate the way I love my daughter or my husband or my job. And it gave me the sense that food needs to be looked at as something else, maybe. It's not something, and you said I was looking for love in all the wrong places when I talked about my love of food. And that really spoke to me. And I was doing that. I was elevating food. I was putting food on a pedestal. Food was going to make me heal. It was going to make me feel happy. It was going to make me feel better. It was going to take care of my problems. And all of that was so untrue. And so, yes, we talked a lot about me moving away from, I love that food. And the way you just enacted the
Yes,
way
it
you
was
would
pretty
talk to me on
much
the phone.
like that.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that. And it was like that over several phone calls.
Hmm.
And we laughed and laughed. And I even said to you once, I think I'm going to get a t-shirt saying, food on the front and on the back, looking for love in all the wrong places, because it just spoke to me. And I was doing that. And what a silly thing, because I have so much love in my life from other things and other people. And food does not need to do that, because food, I learned with you, is actually fuel and medicine. And again, re-examining, reframing how I look at food has changed my ability to treat it as just that, and not as something which is going to change my life. I'm going to change my life. Food's not going to change my life.
Wow, that's powerful. So in stating that, one of the things too that changed so much for you is that as we started taking sugar and flour out in our experiment, can you say how that helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to be honest and say
Yeah, I
initially,
want you to be honest. Don't start lying now.
this is not the time to start lying.
No,
I was not sure I was going to go for that. And you had said to me, some
you
of my
were
clients
quite
do
sure
it.
that yes, that
Yes, some of my clients do the no flour, no sugar, and others don't.
uh-huh.
And let's talk about it as an experiment, which was also a great perspective for me to have when looking at this. And yet, when it came time and you brought it up, I was absolutely ready, because I had started understanding that this was all about a big, giant research project on me, and I was ready to go there. So I started, and I was very conscientious, very careful about reading labels, following the information that you had given me to a T. And what was interesting is that I was not sure. I knew things were going to be bad, and you had talked about the river of misery.
Mm-hmm.
And I, got kind of lived through my first week, and then we had our session, and I thought I was okay, or I thought the worst was yet to come. And yet you were able right away, when I picked up the phone, you said, "Oh, you're in the river. You are deep in the river of misery." And I said, "No, I'm not. I don't think I'm there yet. I mean, I'm fine. I'm doing okay." And then we pulled things apart and pulled away layers, and I was not sleeping well. I was low energy. I was talking about things that I'd never talked about before. Lots of things were bubbling to the surface. So that first happened. What was also interesting.
I want to interject for 1
Yeah,
minute on that,
please do.
because as everybody is listening to you and hearing your sunshiny voice, this was not the voice
No.
that happened on that call. And I go, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm fine." Except it was like, "I'm fine."
Yeah, exactly. Which is
And
not
it's
me.
like, well, you really don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out something's not going right here. So,
That's right.
once we really figured that out, and that, this is just what happens to your body as you start taking flour and sugar out, what I would like you to talk about now is what happens once you acclimate it.
I will. So I just want to quickly say one more thing is, you do hear about, people detoxing from sugar and flour, and you do imagine the worst. And I have to say it wasn't great, but also you come out the other end. It's not this prolonged thing that's going to go on for weeks and months. It's really something that your body incredibly and miraculously does work itself through. So here's what happened. The acne I had, which has been, I've had some adult acne. My face was covered in red pimples. It was incredible.
While you were going through the river.
While I was detoxing, which made me think, if this is what my body is doing when I'm getting rid of flour and sugar, what is it doing to my body when it's in there and circulating through my bloodstream? I was mesmerized and shocked by this. It was just such a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
We also added several different parameters on the mind-body chart, where we were sort of graphing the outcomes of no flour, sugar. And what was fascinating is, I remember Dr. Deb, one of the things we put in was my blood pressure. And we had the baseline from when we first started. And the subsequent weeks, you actually said to me, "Are you on meds for blood pressure? What's going on here?" I said, "No." And you said, "You need to talk to your doctor to get," I said, "I'm not on any meds." My blood pressure dropped. My sleep which had been interrupted by menopausal hot flashes, completely changed. While I still had some hot flashes, they were less frequent and less intense. Daytime hot flashes virtually disappeared, and I've been having hot flashes for about 6 years now. So this was a huge thing. I had energy. My aches and pains in my knees, my neck, and my back were, I had a lot of pain. Those pains subsided. My migraines, which were also initially caused starting 6 years ago because of the hormonal changes in menopause, virtually diminished. It was almost like a weird dream that I was afraid I was going to wake up from and it wasn't going to be true, but it was all true. And the results were incredible.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So the reason I wanted you to talk to this is because your mind body chart changed so drastically. And when I'm speaking about a mind body chart, because there's people on here that don't know what we're talking about, is it
Absolutely.
actually, we have a chart where when you're doing this experiment of no flour, no sugar, we chart certain things in your body. So we chart your energy, your mood, your specific things that might be bothering you painful wise, or your sleep. We also chart cravings. Your
Yes.
cravings to want to eat when you're not
Yes.
hungry, which is another thing that was so amazing about your chart. But we chart all this just to see what happens when we take the flour and sugar out. Because I think we just don't realize, if we don't put numbers and really chart it, we forget.
You're absolutely right. And I know you encouraged me. There was a comment section in the mind body chart, and you encouraged me to write down comments like the hot flashes and what they were doing now, how many pimples I had on my face, what kind of energy was going on. And it was important. And again, because I go back and I've looked at these notes, it is a good reminder of why this is something to maintain and sustain, and just what it brought me, because it is easy to forget. And it's also easy to actually, I think, become a little bit complacent when your mind body chart is looking so good. And mine started to look good within 2 or 3 weeks of doing no flour, no sugar. And it's just really important to remember. And I think what it does is it gives you a baseline, and it's being intentional. And I'd say one of the other things I've learned from you is about living intentionally and having a goal and working towards it. And it doesn't have to be a goal where you repeat it as a mantra, but just having this in your psyche all the time.
Mm-hmm. Which you do. You're aware. You're always aware of what's going on, aren't you?
Absolutely. I am. Yeah. It's you know what? It's a little bit more work, but it's a much better way to live. I feel like I'm getting 200% out of life instead of 100%.
Ooh. So here's the thing. Now, when you say it's a little bit more work, I want to talk about that for a second so we don't scare people off, because who wants to do more work? But here's the thing. When we first started working together, you were so unhappy about what was going on. Right? And it's like, now that you're 200% better.
Right.
Is the extra little work that you do, is it worth it to be 200% better because you thought you were working before?
I thought I was working before. Oh, did I ever? Oh, doing all those crazy diets and don't eat this or eat that or put aloe vera on your face. I mean, it was just crazy. Yeah, I was doing all that work.
Right. And so you really want to look at it like this. It's like, isn't it worth it that if you're going to do something for yourself, if it's going to get you the results that you want?
Yeah, absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind. And also what the mind body chart that I did weekly and the food journals, which I did daily, they give you something to anchor onto, because I know I was feeling anchorless. I was feeling like I was floating around in this world of information, which I was not able to absorb properly. And what it does is it gives you a sense of what to do. And here's the other great piece is you actually see on a daily basis, a weekly basis, the progress that you're making. And for me to, and you commented on this, Dr. Deb, my food journals went from one thing to another pretty quickly. And that was amazing to be able to see that and to see how I'd gotten there from A to Z. So while I call it a little bit of extra hard work, to me, I am worth it. And the hard work was just part and parcel of what I was signing up for when I, decided to join you for sessions.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What would be your advice to listeners out there who are just like you, who are listening, who are thinking about this, who are very concerned about either spending the money or spending the time, or what if it doesn't work, or all the thoughts they have, I've done it for so long and nothing has ever worked. What would you say to them after your experience?
What I would say is that when I first got the booklet that you sent me after I'd signed up, I looked at it and I thought, everybody gets this booklet. So let's see what's going to be special for me. And here is what I found. Every single phone call, Dr. Deb, you were able to, we would say, hi, how are you? And I would say, here's what's going on. And you were able to go with the flow. You were able to go with what was going on with me. And so while I thought everybody gets the same booklet, what was happening with that booklet where I was recording information or doing reading in it, it was still being, every session was catered to me and what I was feeling at the time. You always asked me, what else do we need to talk about? Don't forget, I'm available to answer questions every single time. And what that gave me was a sense of, this is my time with Dr. Deb. She is working on me. We are working on X, Y, and Z this week because this is what is in the forefront right now. It was never a cookie cutter template, which you were putting on me. So while there were goals for every single session, today we're going to talk about the model, or today we're going to go over food journals, there was always a lot of space and time for me to be able to get answers from you and work with you to figure out why maybe something wasn't going right, or why maybe this week the weight was where it was. And that to me was the most important thing. I truly felt like, what do you say at the end of all of your podcasts, or at the beginning? Life coach, and as always, your coach.
That's what I say.
That's exactly what was happening. It was true. And that was really, really important to me.
And so would you say it was worth it?
Oh my gosh, worth it and then some. I really can't stress enough to the people who are listening today who are sort of on the edge. And if you're thinking, is it worth it? The dollar price seems like it's really high for me. It is the best investment I think I have made in myself, probably in my lifetime. And this is going to, if we did the math and calculated, the number of days that I'm going to benefit from the work I did with you, and the price I paid, it's going to dilute into nothing. It really, Dr. Deb, what you gave me for that price was priceless.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm speechless.
It's true. I am speechless too. I'm not speechless because I'm still talking, but I really, I feel so thrilled and calm. I'm doing a happy dance all the time inside. And I know that sounds like such a cliche, but I just, the joy and the readiness I have to take care of myself comes from what I learned from you and with you. And it is priceless. It truly is.
Well, Sabra, this is why I do what I do.
I understand. I see why. Yeah.
Period. And I have loved every minute of working with you and knowing you, and you will always, always, always be in my heart.
It's so mutual, Dr. Deb. I have so much love and respect for you. I feel like I have a soul sister out there. And every time I listen to a podcast, I kind of chuckle a little because I had an extra insider special time with you. And if anyone is thinking they need this, please sign up because you're not going to regret it. So it's been an honor and a pleasure, Dr. Deb.
Thank you. And so everybody knows, you're not being paid to say this.
I am not. Oh no, I know it sounds like I am because I'm gushing. I am not being paid a dime to say any of this, and I don't care. I will say it again and again and again for free.
Thank you, Sabra, for being on the call today. It was a true pleasure sharing you with everybody else.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Deb. Take
Thank
care. And I'm
you.
sending a hug to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, as always, what can I say? She is a walking, breathing joy machine. But didn't you think it was interesting, because the way you hear her voice is really the way she is all the time. But when we talked, the things that she was telling me really wasn't matching that. And so I think those are the things that she really wanted to work on. She called me because she wanted to lose weight. And we didn't talk much about weight in this interview, which I find interesting because she is losing weight. But you could tell from the interview that what she got was so much more than weight loss that it wasn't even a topic in the interview. And what she said to me, which we didn't talk about as much, but she knows without a doubt she's going to lose the rest of her weight without me, because our sessions are over. But she knows that she has the tools to do whatever it is that she needs to do, and it's a done deal. That's what she said to me. We didn't even get to talk about it, but I want you to know that the confidence that she has in herself going forward is 100%. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. And more than anything, I hope you see that when you're looking for love and joy, make sure that you're looking for it in all the right places. As Sabra so succinctly said, because she was going to get a t-shirt that said food on the front and looking for joy in all the wrong places, because she really believed that that was like one of the number one joys and loves of her life was food. So no wonder it was just all so hard. And now, of course, you could tell by talking to her, you could tell by her conversations that she has definitely got her priorities in order and she has a hold of her mind. And because of that, what she feels on the inside matches what she has on the outside. And let me tell you what, as a coach coaching her, I can't even believe I got paid for that. It was such a joy to do. And that is why I love doing the work that I do. And I thank all of you every single week for giving me the honor of coming into your home and into your head and talking to you and making a difference for you. And if this is something that you want for yourself, then you can do what Sabra did, which was set up a mini session. And when you set up a mini session, be ready. Be ready. I think most people know what they want to do before they set it up. So if Sabra sounds like somebody you like to be, then maybe you should do what she did. You can go to drdebbutler.com/work with me, and you too can set up a mini session and begin the journey of matching your insides with your outsides. And as always, I want you to be very, very kind to yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
To get a free copy of Dr. Deb's companion workbook with all the tools, homeworks, and discussions that she uses in her podcast with all her private clients, please go to drdebbutler.com/change. This will make it even easier to follow along with her in future broadcasts.